When you start to work with more complex visual effects and motion graphics, you may find yourself applying the same effect to many different layers in your composition. While this seems practical, this also can be really tedious if you do need to tweak your effects, because you then have to go through all of the different layers in your composition and make the same adjustments to multiple copies of the same effect. To make this job a whole lot easier, Adobe After Effects has something called adjustment layers. An adjustment layer is an invisible layer that any effect that you apply to it will automatically be applied to all of the layers that sit beneath it. This gives you a powerful tool to apply effects to and manage effects on a very large number of layers in your composition. So let's jump into Adobe After Effects and check out how to work with adjustment layers. Hopefully you will remember this clip of our 3 thieving clones. Let's assume we wanted to add some color adjustments to this video to make it stand out a little bit, look a little bit different and be a little bit more stylized. Now there are quite a few different ways to solve this problem in Adobe After Effects, and we are going to get to pre-composing and pre-compositions a little bit further down the line. For now, let's just assume we're going to go a fairly naive approach and start applying some effects to our layers. In the Effects and Presets panel, under the Color Correction tab, you'll find a huge amount of different color adjustment effects, and you can use whichever one you want to follow along. I'm just going to grab the photo filter and apply it to my thieving clones 01. And in the effects controls, under the photo filter, I'm going to push up the density to maybe 50–60%, so it gets quite nice and orangey, a very warm tone. However, I've only applied this effect to one layer, so my clone 2 and clone 3 are still really white, so they stand out and you can see them being cut out quite clearly. So let's select the photo filter effect, press Ctrl C or Command C on a Mac, select the clone 2 and paste it with Ctrl V, select clone 3, paste it with Ctrl V, and now all layers have the same effect applied. Let's say I'm still not quite happy, I want this to be a little bit more contrasty. So again, let's come to the Effects and Presets panel, and let's select the brightness and contrast effect. Again, sits under color correction, and let's apply that to our thieving clones 01. And let's just bring up the contrast a little bit, just to make this stand out and pop a little bit more dramatically. And again, the effect is not applied to our second or third clone, so let's select it, Ctrl C or Command C, and let's select thieving clones 2. You can also hold down Shift and select clones 2 and 3 simultaneously, press Ctrl V to paste the effect to both layers. And now we have a pretty cool stylized look. So now let's imagine someone comes to you and says, I don't like that orange so much, maybe we'll make it blue. So now let's go to our thieving clones 1, come into the folder filter, and any adjustments we make on these effects, we'll also have to make them on our thieving clones 2 and our thieving clones 3 layer, otherwise those aren't going to be in sync anymore. So if on my thieving clones 1 layer in the photo filter effect, I change my filter from a warming filter over to, let's say, a cooling filter, I'm going to have to do the same thing across multiple layers. And if you imagine you have a composition with many layers, managing those effects and constantly copying and pasting them across and adjusting them is going to be a real pain in the butt. Let's undo that with Ctrl Z and let's create an adjustment layer instead to solve this problem for good. Simply right-click into your layer window, come up to New, and let's create a new adjustment layer. Naturally, this layer will be created at the very top, but in case it isn't, just make sure it's at the very top of your composition. And I'm actually going to call this color grading. Again, remember to rename layers, simply press Enter on your keyboard. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come onto my clones 1 layer, could be layer 2 or 3 as well, they all have the same effects. Take the photo filter and the brightness and contrast effect, press Ctrl X or Command X to cut them out, select my color grading adjustment layer at the top, and now paste those effects onto the adjustment layer. Now it looks better, but clones 2 and 3 look a bit weird now because they still also have the photo filter and brightness and contrast effect applied, so that gets applied twice now. So make sure you select your thieving clones 2, select all effects with Ctrl A or Command A and delete those. On your thieving clones as well, select all of the effects and delete them, because all effects that you apply to an adjustment layer are automatically applied to all of the layers that sit beneath it. So the photo filter and the brightness and contrast effect are being applied to all 3 clone layers. The great thing is that now, in my color grading adjustment layer, I can make any tweaks that I want. I can make this brighter, stronger, I can change the filter to be blue or warming or yellow or anything that I want, and it automatically gets applied to all of the layers that sit beneath it. Now, this might seem simple, but it's actually a huge time saver. If you have more layers in your composition, there's nothing wrong with having them above the adjustment layers. Just note that they won't be receiving the effect, so if I drag Thieving Clones 3 above the color grading adjustment layer, it will no longer receive those effects. So let's grab the color grading and drag it back to the top. Now, one of the cool things that you can actually do with adjustment layers, and this is what I personally really love about Adobe After Effects, you can combine a whole bunch of different concepts to create something much more sophisticated. We've talked about track mattes, you now know what adjustment layers are, and yes, you can combine them. Let's grab the text tool and create a new text layer and just type anything that you want. Return to your selection tool. Make sure that this text layer sits above your adjustment layer, and now on the adjustment layer, under track matte, change this option over from none to alpha matte. Now, if I move my text around, you can see that the adjustment layer is actually only applied where the track matte is visible. So we now have a track matte on an adjustment layer that then applies effects to all of the layers underneath it. Now, right now, this might be a little bit hard to see. So in my effects and presets panel, let's come down a little bit and let's grab maybe a colorama effect and drop that on our color grading layer. So this is obviously much more in your face. But now if I move my text around, you can see that the effects from my adjustment layer are only applied where my text, my track matte on that adjustment layer is visible. This unlocks a huge amount of possibilities in creating some really cool visual effects, because you can now apply effects to multiple layers and also control where exactly those effects are being applied.